In the lead-up to the British election, the battle between the Conservatives and the Labour Party continues to heat up. A major point of contention, the future of the National Health Service, also known as the NHS. The opposition has for some time argued that the NHS is vulnerable to privatisation under the Conservatives.
Well, for the latest, our correspondent Ollie Barrett joins us live from London. Ollie, good evening, or good afternoon, I should say. The future of the NHS, this has dominated the opening lap of the contest. Where do the political parties stand in regards to this issue?
Absolutely. It's going to be absolutely central to this election campaign. The opposition Labour Party continue to insist that they are the party that can be trusted to safeguard the NHS, which is much treasured, much loved by the British people, but often frustrates them at times as well in terms of the capabilities it has to provide all the services that are required of it. The opposition Labour Party say they will give it more funding, they will restore it to its former glory, and they also accuse the Conservatives of wanting to privatise bits of it under a trade deal with the United States after Brexit. Now, Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, has continued to insist through the election campaign that his party is the party that can be trusted with the NHS, and also he continues to say that the NHS will not be on the table if there are negotiations with the United States on a trade deal after Brexit takes place. It is an absolutely key battleground, and factor one other issue in here, which is that this is an election taking place in December. We haven't had one of those for decades. The winter time here in the UK, when the weather gets cold, when the flu season arrives, is often a critical point for the NHS. We often go into crisis mode with patients piling up in beds in wards as the NHS creaks under the huge demand for its services. So Boris Johnson is very well aware that the last thing he needs is an NHS winter crisis as he heads towards election day on December the 12th.
And what are the other big issues then, Ollie, that the two parties, or the opposition and the Conservatives, are sort of haggling over how to position themselves?
Well, one of the key issues is the foreign workers who pay a huge contribution to the NHS. Many of them come from parts of Asia. There are lots and lots of Asian workers and nurses and doctors who work in the NHS every single day, without whom it simply wouldn't be able to function. And there's long been concern about what would happen to those workers and future workers coming over to the UK in a post-Brexit reality. Lots of concerns that without those people, if it gets harder to make it into the UK in a post-Brexit reality, that perhaps the NHS would really struggle in terms of employment and service provision. So the Conservatives are out today saying that after Brexit, after this election, they will make it easier for foreign workers to apply for visas to work in the NHS. If they are doctors and they are nurses and they have the right qualifications, they will also make visas cheaper for those people as well, to make sure that there aren't labour shortages after this election takes place into 2020 and beyond. Now, the opposition Labour Party say these plans have lots of holes in them, haven't been fully thought through, and they continue to warn of the prospects of a labour shortage in the NHS. As I say, the National Health Service is going to continue to be front and centre in this election campaign.
All right, many thanks for that update. Ollie Barrett speaking to us from London.